I try to cover as many different topics as possible, and can partially as a result of that not be an expert on what's been going on with all of them. And I occasionally will take stock of, for instance, how many environmental regulations in total have been rolled back since the Trump administration began, that sort of thing. Like really taking a bird's eye view at the damage that's been done in an area. You've been involved in this activism for a number of years. Going into the Trump administration, what were your fears? Have they been borne out? How does the damage that's been done compare to what you had expected might happen when we were on the eve of Trump becoming president?
Right. Well, it's with abortion, it's so different because this is an issue that is so state-centric that I think a lot of people ignored it because, as we know, there was abysmal midterm elections forever of people turning out in midterms and understanding what actually happens in state legislatures. So for me, I've been following this, and terrible, terrible, terrible things that happened while good presidents were holding federal office. As Trump came in, when I saw that he gave Pence the vice president's nod, I knew that we were going to be in trouble because I know that Trump is somebody who will pawn off anything he doesn't want to do. And he pawned off the #1 issue of Mike Pence. And so I knew that it was going to be terrible. When I watched what happened at the Department of Health and Human Services, I think that's the thing that a lot of people forget, that regulations can be as or more damaging than legislation because HHS can just put in regulations. And there, at our last count, there was 50 people in top jobs at the Department of Health and Human Services in their varying places that had come straight from the anti-abortion movement with no other experience. And that's everything from the person who came up with the kids in cages policy to FDA regulations, and so that part's really scary. And so I think a lot of folks need to know that. I think Trump having to keep his core base are evangelical Christians, and that means hard line on abortion. And so I think that it bore out worse than I thought. And then you combine all of that with how he has stacked the lower courts, and we find ourselves in a position where if crackpot state legislatures are passing crackpot laws that are challenged and they go to a crackpot lower court, and then we go to a Supreme Court where my fingers are crossed that John Roberts is somehow going to be my savior and that Ruth Bader is going to beat cancer for 5,000 times like a superhero. I'm a little nervous.
Yeah, understandably so. Yeah, you're totally right. In terms of direct ability to influence these things, Trump obviously doesn't necessarily have a ton, except as you point out with HHS appointments. But he's already gotten 2 Supreme Court justices. If Ruth Bader Ginsburg were to be replaced, either before or after the election by Donald Trump, what does that mean for the future of bodily autonomy?
I think it means that we are in a position where it's going to, my only hope is he's going to replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg, not with a moderate, not even with anybody rational. It will be with an Edith Jones, or it'll be with somebody who is very scary from one of the scary circuit courts. But what it means is that abortion will fast track through the Supreme Court. And I think a lot of people think that abortion will go away. But what will happen is it'll be a 2-step process. The first thing that will happen is Roe v. Wade will get overturned, which means access to abortion will roll back to the states. And then the states will decide how and if they want to continue making abortion something legal in their state. And then we're going to have a whole world of hurt based on the states that will allow it to be. And then people already struggling trying to get access to abortion are going to have an even harder time of it.
Exactly. Yeah, the women that have to, pay an incredible amount in money and time will have to pay even more to get to a state that actually respects their rights. Lizz Winstead, we appreciate you joining us and all the great work you do in this area.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Anytime. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.